road into the sky. Never let adventures pass you by. Be free and follow your crazy dreams. We're living our vision in the RV. Come ride with us and you'll be free.
There are many opinions about the environmental impact of lithium-ion batteries and fossil fuels. Lithium-ion batteries contain metals such as cobalt, nickel, and manganese, which are toxic and contaminate water supplies and ecosystems if they leach out of landfills. Unearthing, processing, and moving underground oil, gas, and coal deposits take an enormous toll on our landscapes and ecosystems. Even after Operation Cease, the nutrient-leached land will never return what it once was. Ready to go?
Well, I don't know.
Are you ready to go?
Because...
They're ready to go.
Okay. Might have an issue with the directions, so just a second.
Houston, we have a problem. Some believe the increase in heat-trapping gases like CO2 is the main reason for the rise in global average temperatures since the late 19th century. And some believe the historical data shows cooling or no rise in temperatures when CO2 levels are higher, which means that the presence and amount of CO2 has no warming effect and that it's just not physically possible. Regardless of who is right or wrong, there is one thing we do know for certain, that we will eventually run out of fossil fuel. The question is, could renewable energy finally be the answer to these issues someday? Today, we're going to tour just one small part of America's renewable energy sources here in Palm Springs, California, on a private wind farm. All right, well, there's a sign when you first come in. It says RV and bus parking to the left, or come through the gate. It says no RVs. But that's if you have an RV and you're going to take one of their golf cart tours, or you have a tow vehicle that you're going to bring in here or whatever to do the self-guided tour, because you can do the self-guided tours driving. And we know that we're able to because we asked yesterday. Many of you know that the Gretsch Strata Ion is only 24 foot. Only? That's pretty long for a van.
28 feet is their limit.
So we went ahead on through the gate, pulled over, and we're going to go in and see if we can do this tour. I'm sure we can. They want our money. In 1982, an installation of 8 small wind turbines with 2 blades were installed, and the first wind farm in Southern California was established. By year's end, that number grew to 212 turbines. In 2014, the Palm Springs Windmill Tours was created, which now offers self-driving tours, guided golf cart tours, and group and school tours to see and understand wind energy as well as renewable energy.
Wind farm is about the wind turbines and the technology that has progressed from 40 years ago to today.
Okay.
And so we were the first wind farm in 1982. Fred Noble has about 2,000 acres now at Windtech. He was originally going to be a mobile home developer, him and his partner, and then he got approached by Southern California Edison to lease his land for a wind turbine because Carter instituted the energy.gov and incentives to inspire renewable energy, including wind. And they were arm-twisting energy companies to get into it.
Oh.
And so he said, well, maybe I should ditch the development and get into wind energy, and that's been history. We have a little 5-minute historical perspective homage. Last year was our 40th, but that was our, we made a little video that tells his story and how he was, it was just an emerging industry. So on the first stop is our blade yard, which has a lot of the old relics, non-operating wind turbines from that era, what was going on, what went wrong, and it ended up what went right. You get a lot of information from the curated app. And so you can get out, take pictures, and then you're just going to follow the path painted with green rocks all the way around, and each stop has a blue barrel that's labeled on it.
Okay, so for videos, it's okay as long as you don't go past these certain
just don't stay 100 feet away from an operating turbine. It's safety. If a screw falls off at 400 feet from the top, then you're dead.
Welcome to Palm Springs Windmill Tours. I hope you learned something today about wind energy and these magnificent machines that have become an icon to the Palm Springs area. Fortunately, renewable energy literally surrounds us. It's in the rays of the sun. It's in moving water. We get thermal energy from the earth, and it's in the wind. Here in the San Gorgonio Pass, we have wind. So much of it that the Bureau of Land Management and the County of Riverside published a wind resource study in 1982, paving the way for utility-scale electricity production from the wind. The prevailing winds here are mostly driven by the sun. During the day, it warms the desert air to the east, causing the air pressure to drop as convection pulls hot air upward. This draws in the air from the west, that's usually cooler and more dense. The only path east through the mountains is through this pass between the two tallest peaks in Southern California, San Gorgonio to the north and San Jacinto to the south. It makes this one of the most consistently windy places in the United States and ideal for harvesting energy from the wind. The power captured by a turbine scales with the size of its blades. So the bigger the turbine, the more power it can generate. But bigger turbines need more space between them. Today, there are just 5 production turbines on the site of the original wind farm. Combined, they produce more energy than the original farm ever did. What remains are tall but elegant pieces of human engineering that silently produce electricity to meet our needs. As you look around, you'll see turbines in every direction. Some of them are on our extended farm, along with 2 solar installations.
Excited about this already.
I am so glad we've done this, and we haven't even really started the outside tour.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear that. You always got to keep an open mind. You never know what something's going to really be like. And we haven't even started the tour yet. But those videos are very interesting. All right, so we got an app that we're going to start. They give you a little QR code to get the app inside. And then,
I don't know if you can see that. It's basically just called self-driving tour of the windmill tour.
So we will plug that into to the speakers on the coach here, or you can use Bluetooth, but we like to do this, that way you're powering the phone at the same time.
And she gave us a map just to make sure we don't get lost, I guess.
Oh, and also we should mention that she told us inside that the driving tour, you get more information, and she thinks it's better. Plus it's cheaper, so it was nice of her to tell us that, than doing the golf cart tours.
The self-driving tour was $59 for 2 adults. So in your vehicle, 2 adults. Okay. It's $10 for additional adult, and then kids and under 12 are free.
She said on the golf cart tours you get not as much information as you would on the app, and you go at your own pace. Especially if you have something like this, you have your own restroom, you have your food with you for snacks, you got everything. You forgot your sunglasses, they're here.
Just get a Class B van and you'll be set.
Need to change your Depends? Well, go get one. 2 of the most popular renewable energy sources in the U.S. at this moment are solar and wind. The most prevalent renewable energy source worldwide, however, is hydroelectric energy, accounting for 83% of the world's electricity generated from renewable sources. This is most likely because the technology to generate electricity by harnessing the flow of water has been around the longest, dating back to the early 20th century. Wind energy is the next largest at just over 7% of the electricity generated from renewable sources, followed by biowaste and biomass energy at 7%, geothermal energy at 2%, and solar, tidal, and wave energy at less than 1%.
Between 1981 and 1985, more than 14,000 wind turbines appeared in California. More than 4,000 here in the San Gorgonio Pass, spurred on by tax incentives encouraging renewable energy production long before solar panels. Creating a machine that can produce electricity from the wind is the easy part.
History shows that advances in renewable energy often follow crises. In the 1970s, oil embargoes caused the cost of oil to quadruple, spurring efforts to reduce American dependence on fossil fuels and find alternative sources of power, including solar energy or wind power. The 2008-09 global financial crisis led to several governments linking part of their economic stimulus to investment in clean energy. The COVID-19 pandemic led to an unprecedented energy shock, and following in 2021, investment in renewable energy reached the highest levels since the Great Recession. Following crises in Europe, Western economies are once again reminded of the importance of energy independence, and demand for renewable energy sources has gone through the roof.
The odd-looking device is a vertical axis wind turbine. The large scoops turn when the wind hits them, spinning a generator. In the 1980s, several vertical axis wind turbines went into production in the United States. Their appeal is that they don't much care about the direction of the wind, and designers hoped they would be economically produced and widely installed. They had many problems, however, and are not used for utility-scale electricity production today. Nonetheless, designers continue exploring vertical axis wind turbines, mostly for low wind environments. This is one of those.
We are switching drivers. See if we can make it easier. Yes, still have to have your seatbelt.
I know, I reached the other way.
A tower is a critical part of a wind turbine's design. It supports the weight of the rotor assembly, gearbox, and generator, and enables the machine to operate by transferring tremendous loads from the wind into the ground. This is one of the more successful wind turbines from 1985. It exemplifies the Danish design, featuring 3 blades and an upwind orientation. To prevent the rotor from overspeed or spinning too quickly, the tip of each blade is designed to extend and rotate when it spins fast, and slows the rotor in dangerously high winds. It's a key reason the Danish machines performed well and led to the modern designs. This is a complete ESI wind turbine with its tower. The hinged base allowed the turbine to be lowered for major service situations. If you look to the north, you may spot 3 more of these machines on their side, just like this one. You might then be able to imagine what it was like out here in 1984 when the turbines were new.
To generate electricity, the blades of wind turbines spin to turn an inner rotor. The rotor sends kinetic energy to a generator that converts it into AC electricity, similar to an inverter in a solar array. Also like solar, wind power can be grid-tied, or the resulting energy can be stored in a battery. So we're done with that first loop so far on the map. That was this area. So now we're going to drive out and down about 100 feet, she said, and go to number 7.
This is a production solar farm. The solar panels here cover about 13 acres. It takes about 5 acres of such panels to generate 1 megawatt of electricity, so this installation can produce about 3 megawatts. To improve its daily output, the entire array adjusts its angle from east facing in the morning to west facing in the evening, following the sun across the sky. Unlike wind turbines, this is the only moving part on a solar array. People often ask which is better, wind or solar. That answer depends on what you're most concerned with. According to the Department of Energy, wind and solar both cost around 3 cents per kilowatt hour today, with wind being slightly lower. Ground cover and physical appearance are the most obvious differences. Solar arrays cover a lot more ground than wind turbines to generate the same amount of energy. However, large modern wind turbines do need lots of room between them. Both wind and solar effectively need the same amount of land to produce similar amounts of electricity. But wind turbines are tall and leave much of the ground beneath them untouched. This turbine and the one immediately north of it were among the largest wind turbines operating in the San Gorgonio Pass from their installation in 2012 until 2021. They were manufactured by Vestas, a Danish company, and the largest wind turbine manufacturer today. Many of the large components of these turbines roll out of their factory in Colorado. Each of these Vestas V90 turbines can produce 3 megawatts or 3,000 kilowatts of electricity. That's enough power for more than 1,000 average homes every year. The turbine stands 262 feet from the ground to its hub, and the blades are 144 feet long. Its maximum height reaches nearly 410 feet.
Holy cow, that about makes you dizzy looking up.
I know.
This is not a job you want to have a lapse in safety. So when you're scaling, always got to be tied off 100% of the time. I'll be climbing with a climb assist today. The climb assist is designed to take 150 pounds off of a climber, which makes scaling a wind turbine so much easier. And away we go. Here I am at the top of the GE turbine. I'm getting ready to deploy the ladder. Does about a 5-minute climb.
This is it, life's not infinite. It's the only chance we get. So why are we waiting? Why are we waiting? Will it click? Looking for the next new fix. Is this the new kind of sick? Why are we waiting? Why are we waiting? They say they have the answers. They say they have the answers. It's always pay to enter. And isn't life funny? Make some money, spend it all to feel less crummy, and think that we've made it. Think that we've made it. Well, what else? Sit by ourselves, think about the hands we're dealt and all our guilt. Think that we've made it. Think that we've made it. They say they have the answer.
We're now across the street from a natural gas plant, and you might be wondering what it has to do with renewable energy. There just isn't enough installed wind and solar energy to meet our needs in California. In the middle of most days, renewable energy does represent the largest amount of energy on our electric grid. But what happens when the sun goes down or the wind just isn't blowing enough? When consumer demand exceeds the supply of electricity, the California Independent System Operator that manages the grid calls for more electricity production. To meet the peak demand, natural gas plants like this Indigo Energy facility are called on. This is why plants like this are known as peaker plants. They run on natural gas and reach full operating capacity within just a few minutes. This Indigo Energy facility can generate as much as 135 megawatts of electricity when running. Natural gas is the cleanest burning of the fossil fuels, but is still not renewable and does generate CO2, making it less desirable and more expensive than many renewable alternatives.
What did you think of it?
I was going to ask you, what did you think about it? Because you always ask me first.
Well, it's very interesting. Of course, we always see these windmills, these turbines, and we don't know much about them other than they produce energy.
Right.
So it was kind of neat to hear the history of it.
It was.
And how they've progressed and gotten bigger and bigger and better.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is I didn't realize how old, like this started 40 years ago. Like back in the early 80s, I had no idea it even kind of started back then. So fun fact, there's a town in Iowa, it's about 40 minutes east of Des Moines, called Newton, and there's a company there by the name of TPI, and they make the blades for these wind turbines.
Yeah, we used to see them hauling them all the time on the interstates, and I'm sure you have too. They take them everywhere across the United States. But Newton also is, many of you probably are familiar with it, the name from the Newton Speedway, same town.
But when we mentioned that about this company in Newton, Iowa, the lady there at the tour center, she knew right. She goes, "Oh, is that TPI?" And we're like, "Yes."
Yeah. So, yes, we would recommend it, and it doesn't take long to do. I don't even remember what time we got here.
They advertise it. It's about an hour and a half. We took longer because we are filming, and we just took longer.
Yeah, and you watched a couple videos beforehand.
Yeah.
Make sure you do that. But we like going to these different things that you don't really think about every day to go see. It's very interesting, and you learn stuff. So.
I had no idea there was even such a thing, such a tour. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, click that little bell, and hit that thumbs up. See you next week.